Welcome to the NetSuite presentation for Advanced Financials. I'm going to take on the role of a controller to talk about the benefits of this module. This module is known for getting growing companies out of spreadsheets and into a more controlled and automated environment, which is exactly what it did for me. With this added functionality, my finance department automated a ton of processes, such as invoicing my customers, amortizing prepaid expenses and executing my expense allocations, as well as reporting on budget versus actual. This module eliminated several manual processes throughout the month and shortened my period close by automating typical month-end procedures as well. First, I'd like to show you how NetSuite automated the way I invoice my customers with the use of billing schedules. When entering a new order, I can select from a billing schedule that will auto-generate future invoices. This provides an increased level of control and saved me a ton of time since I no longer have to track my billing activities in Excel and always have access to real-time reports such as my billings forecast. I was just reviewing a new order that came through my dashboard that might help me illustrate. My recent records menu makes it easy to navigate right back to it. On this order, my company has sold our annual subscription fee, we included a recurring service charge, and added a one-time setup fee. However, during contract negotiations, we agreed to adjust our billing terms by billing each item according to its own schedule. So on this order, the $120,000 for the annual subscription fee will be billed monthly, the $12,000 for the recurring service charge will be billed quarterly, and the entire $40,000 for the one-time setup fee will get billed up front. Now, as a side note, the items and schedules on this order are simple examples of what is applicable to my business, but take confidence in the fact that NetSuite's billing schedules are flexible and robust and can be configured to meet whatever your billing needs might include. As a part of my job, I need to forecast things such as cash collections, future billings, and revenue, and NetSuite makes that easy. In fact, with one click, I'm looking at the billing forecast for this order directly on the sub-tab. This is the exact schedule that the system will use as I generate my future invoices. This order's initial invoice will be for $54,000. That's $40,000 for the one-time setup fee that we're going to bill up front, $10,000 for the monthly subscription fee, and the first quarterly installment for the recurring service charge, totaling to $54,000. The remaining invoices from my billing schedule will include our monthly charge for the subscription fee, in addition to an incremental recurring service charge every quarter. I also tend to leverage the billing forecast report quite frequently. This shows me real-time consolidated view of all my billing schedules and allows me to easily drill down to anything I care to investigate. Here's the sales order we just reviewed with its billing forecast broken out by period. As soon as I generate the first invoice for this order, the $54,000 will drop off the report in real time. Now, since this order has already been approved, I could simply create the next invoice directly here from the sales order, but the NetSuite leading practice is to create invoices directly from the Bill Sales Order screen. This saves me and my team a ton of time by creating invoices in bulk. I typically use my reminders to kick off this process. My sales order is included in the list of transactions that need to get invoiced because its current status is pending billing. This kicks off the process for NetSuite to generate all of the invoices based on information found in the billing schedules, which is efficient because I don't have to spend time re-entering data. Now, in my world, all of the invoices that NetSuite just created were also automatically sent out to my customers via email. That's certainly an option for you, in addition to either automatically faxing invoices or queuing them up to get printed and mailed. Back on the sales order, the system already added a link to the first invoice here on the Related Records tab. It is currently open for the amount of $54,000. Now, since this is an important customer, I'd like to review this invoice, and I can do so with one click. This invoice is made up of the monthly, quarterly, and upfront billings, and I have access to the email that was sent to our customer automatically, just to ensure that they received their copy of the invoice. Now, I typically like to view my reports to ensure all my transactions were created and updated my GL appropriately. When I refresh my billings forecast, I can rest assured that my invoices were generated because the $54,000 I just billed dropped off the report. But it's also important to note that not only was my billings forecast report updated in real time, but every report throughout the entire system, so my AR aging, my income statement, my balance sheet, and all of the metrics on my dashboard. So as I refresh my reminders portlet, the orders that I just invoiced are no longer needing action, which is great because now I can truly manage by exception. With the flexibility that billing schedules provide, I can get creative on how I define the billing terms with my customers because I know the system can handle it. As a quick recap, my reminders alerted me that I had sales orders that I need to invoice, many of which were single orders getting billed according to a schedule. I was then taken to a screen where I could take action against those orders, and all of my reports, including my billings forecast, were updated in real time. In addition to more enhanced control and automation of my billing throughout the month, The Advanced Financials module also automates many of my typical month-end procedures, such as creating my amortization entries. NetSuite's amortization schedules were designed to automate the calculation and posting of my amortization. When entering a vendor bill or journal entry, I'm able to select from a predefined amortization template. This includes things like which method I'd like to use and the number of periods I need to amortize the expense over, in addition to other things related to how this transaction will affect our GL. Once I select an amortization template on the transaction, the system automatically creates a schedule that's used to auto-generate my amortization entries. The amortization forecast report also makes it extremely easy to view planned or future expenses. NetSuite's amortization schedules give me a lot more comfort now that I'm out of spreadsheets and took what was a 2-hour manual process during my monthly close and turned it into 2 clicks, starting with my reminders portlet. I review this screen showing me the transactions that are requiring amortization in the current month, and can actually take action by creating the entries in bulk. From here, it's easy to drill down to the source transaction and the related amortization schedule to ensure that I fully understand the nature of this entry. For instance, this vendor bill from Marsh & Associates is for our business insurance, which we prepay annually. There are 3 separate line items for our business interruption insurance policy, our D&O liability coverage, and some product liability, which also have their own amortization schedules. Since I'm paying these up front, but I'm receiving the benefits over the next 12 months, I need to defer these costs and amortize them over their useful life, and NetSuite automates all of that for me. This amortization schedule is for our business interruption insurance policy. I have all the info that I need to see right here in one place, including a link back to the source transaction, the amortization start and end dates, the original amount, the total amount that's been amortized, and the remaining prepaid balance. Also, I have the amortization schedule broken out by period below. This sublist includes both the historical entries that I've already processed, with links to the resulting journal entry, and forecast or scheduled amortization entries that have yet to occur. And the best part is, all of this acts as supporting documentation and makes the audit of my prepaid balances virtually pain-free. Now, when entering these transactions, my team can simply select from a predefined amortization template, or they can enter the start and end dates directly on the transaction itself. This is another bill that I need to amortize, my monthly healthcare insurance bill from United. At the end of each month, they send us an invoice for the next month's coverage. So this will initially debit my prepaid account, but the entire amount will be expensed next month, which is also depicted on its amortization schedule. With Advanced Financials, it's easy to forecast future expenses using my amortization forecast. This waterfall report is a consolidated view of all my planned amortization entries across the company, broken out by accounting period, which includes both the Marsh & Associates and United Healthcare bills. This helps a lot for planning and budgeting. As soon as one of these entries is amortized, it will immediately drop off this report, so I know I'm working with the most updated information. In my role, I'm responsible for getting all of our GL entries booked each month, which includes these amortization entries, and NetSuite makes that process effortless. And look how fast that was. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I typically like to review these right away, and the system gives me a link to do just that. Not only do I see a debit to my expense account and a credit to my prepaid, but I also have a full audit trail with this link back to the underlying amortization details, where I can drill back in to see an updated view. The amortization schedule for my business insurance policy already reflects the updated amounts from the amortization process that I just ran, in addition to giving me a link back to the journal entry that recognized the expense. Here's my amortization forecast prior to creating my amortization entries. As I refresh, you'll notice this report is also updated in real time, showing no results in November. Sometimes I need to report on historical or recognized expenses by amortization schedule, and NetSuite makes that simple as well. Here are the recognized expenses for our business insurance and healthcare bills. Now remember, in my role, it's extremely important to have access to real-time data, and that's exactly what we just saw. So my dashboard, my income statement, everything was just updated. Here's the $10,000 expense from United Healthcare that I just amortized, already reflected in my income statement. I just walked you through exactly what I do in NetSuite to create my amortization entries on a recurring basis, and it really is that easy. My dashboard reminder informed me of the fact that I had several amortization entries to create and took me directly to the screen to process those entries. After that, I typically review my updated reports to verify that the posting went on and move on to the next step in my close, which for me is to execute my allocations. The Advanced Financials module provides a lot of great tools to continue to automate the calculation and posting of my allocations. With NetSuite, I'm able to allocate any amount across any segment in my chart of account structure. The allocation schedules are extremely easy to set up, even for a non-technical end user like myself, and really removed a lot of the manual processes that were time-consuming prior to using NetSuite. So to finish my allocations, I no longer need to run a report, export it to Excel, do a bunch of manual manipulations and calculations just to turn around and re-import a journal entry back into the system. The allocations module is built to automate all of that, and also gives me a full audit trail so I can see the exact calculation of any allocation at any given time. I use several types of allocations within NetSuite. For my simple and basic scenarios, such as allocating rent expense to departments based on square footage, I use the fixed method, where I can define a specific percentage or amount to be allocated. We also use dynamic allocations for things like allocating healthcare insurance to departments based on headcount. Dynamic allocations are automatically weighted based on the balance in statistical accounts, which removes the manual calculation of weighting percentages. I also leverage intercompany allocations and the ability to execute step-down allocations by batch. I'm making good progress on close my month, so I'm going to keep that momentum going by processing my allocations. My next reminder has identified the allocation schedules that need to be processed. Here's the dynamic schedule that I set up for my healthcare insurance, which spreads the expense to departments based on their current headcount. If I want to know more about this schedule, I can drill into it where I see things such as how frequent it's scheduled to run, the next execution date, and the allocation type, which is fixed or dynamic. Down on the Sources tab, I set up this schedule to grab anything that's in my healthcare insurance expense account and is not currently assigned to a department, so the system can allocate it to what I've defined on the Destination tab. Here's a listing of all my departments, along with the weighted percentage of which each will receive. The system automatically calculated this for me based on my statistical headcount balance. I'm ready to create this month's allocation entry. The system took me directly to the allocation journal where I can review and approve it. Here's a credit to the insurance account with no department, with all of the other costs getting shifted to each department based on their weighted value. The system also lets me know this entry was created from an allocation schedule, so I never have to track down where this originated from. Now approving that entry automatically updated my income statement as well. Before I refresh this report, take note of the $10,000 healthcare expense, which if you recall was just created by our amortization process, and was initially assigned to no department. Here we validate that our healthcare insurance allocation is already reflected in our financials. The allocation schedule has already been updated as well to reflect the next time that it needs to be run, in addition to storing a link to both the historical calculation and the posted entry. This makes it easy to explain to my department heads exactly how we calculated the amounts that hit their P&Ls. In similar fashion, NetSuite provided me with a reminder that I had allocation schedules due, and with one click I was able to drill in and begin processing those allocations immediately. The last set of capabilities in the Advanced Financials module that I'd like to show you is how I'm able to manage my budgets more efficiently. These benefits include the ability to store an unlimited number of budget versions in the system, tools to efficiently manage multiple versions of budgets by making copies, and the ability to budget in a local currency for my foreign subsidiaries. This is my budget versus actual report for my US company. I do a lot of expense planning by cost center, so I typically like to analyze this report by department. This module allowed me to set up several versions of my budgets. So as you can see down here, I can report on budget versus actual using several different budget versions, such as draft, board approved, and several updated reforecasts. Also, our company recently expanded into the UK, and this module allows me to budget in their local currency, or the GBP. Again, I'd like to point out that this budget versus actual report, just like our income statement, our dashboards, and all other reports, is real time. So the revenue from the invoice that we generated from our billing schedule, the healthcare expense that we just amortized and then allocated to our departments, and all of the other automated postings that are included in the Advanced Financials module and throughout the system are already included in this report. By now, I hope it's easy to see the value that the Advanced Financials module has brought to my company, and I know it'll do the same for you. The advanced billing capabilities, which allow for invoicing an order according to a schedule, will increase your invoicing accuracy while eliminating manual processes. The amortization schedules, which automate the calculation and posting of amortization entries, will increase your level of control and decrease the risk of user error. The allocations module, aimed at automating the calculation and posting of these entries, provide unmatched auditability and can decrease your days to close. And last, the enhanced budgeting capabilities bring everything together by providing real-time budget versus actuals for an unlimited number of budget categories in any currency. Thanks for taking the time to learn about NetSuite's Advanced Financials module, and I look forward to hearing about how it's made your job and life just a little bit easier.